Okay, so this is how to solve radical equations. So in order for you to solving radical equations, you need to get the square root part here by itself. Another way to do that is to get everything that's not a square root onto the other side of the equation. So we're going to add 1. Why is vacuuming in the background here? Hopefully it won't be too loud. Okay, we got the square root of m equal to 10, and we want to get rid of the square root. So when we want to get the square root, we square it. And whenever you do one side, you do the other. So squaring a square root, remember, erases the square root or knocks it out. They are inverses of each other. Use the vocabulary. Any number you would have put in here, if you take the square root and then you square it, you get back to what you started with. So you get 100. Now, you want to know if 100 is true, so you put in -1 plus the square root of 100 and see if you come out to be 9. If you do, then that's the right answer. And this is 10. So -1 plus 10 does equal 9. So therefore that checks. So, whoa, let's try that again. This one is going to be your answer. Okay, so that's the first equation. Let's just keep on going with these. Okay, next one. Again, you try to get the square root, this part of it, by itself. So in order to do that, I want to divide by 5, because that's how that 5 is attached to that square root. So I get 4 is equal to the square root of x. Once I have that, I'm going to square both sides, like this. Okay, and I get 16 is equal to x. So we're going to put 16 in there, see if 20 is equal to 5 times the square root of 16. Alright, and 5 times the square root of 16 is 4, and that does equal 20, so that's a check. This is one of my answers. Remember that when you do these equations, sometimes you can get answers that are not going to work, which are called extraneous, and I'll spell that once I get to it. Alright, so here again, it looks a little bit more complicated, but basically if you have the square root of something equal to the square root of another, that must mean, logically, that this guy and this guy would have to be equal to each other for the square roots to be equal. But, if we still follow the rule, you must isolate the square root, get the square root by itself. Well, if I square this side, and I square this side, won't that just get rid of everything? All the square roots? And then we just have to solve it like Algebra 1. Okay? So I'm going to bring the r over here, so I end up with a positive. 2r minus 47. Add 47. Add 47. 2r is equal to 36. 36 divided by 2. R is equal to 18. So I put that in the calculator, see if I'm right. Okay, so it'll be the square root of 18 minus 9. Is that the same as the square root of 3 times 18 minus 47? Well, this is the square root of 9. So hopefully if I do this, this gives me what, 54? No, 54? 54? Yeah, 54? No, I'm having a brain fart here. 54. 3 times 18 minus 47. That's, yeah, 54. 54 minus 47. Right? Was that right? Whoops, I messed this up. It's up here. 47. This should have been 38. Should have been 38. Well, see, that's good though. I'm glad I made a mistake, because that way I can show you that. See, what happens is you think something's equal, and then I go and try to do this, and it doesn't work out. So, give me a second. Let me go back here. It is up here. So let me fix that. Hopefully you didn't write too much of this down. And if I can, I'll edit it so that this never shows up. But if I don't, hopefully you won't waste too much of it. Okay, so we got 2r equal to, now, let's check my math this time. 47 minus 9 is 38. Divide that by 2. That's 19. Okay, The square root of 19 minus 9 is basically the square root of 10. The question is, do I get the square root of 10? 19 times 3 minus 47. Well, 19 times 3 is 57 minus 47, which is the square root of 10. I don't care what the square root of 10 is, I just want to make sure that they're equal. So 19 is the correct answer. Alright, next one. Same thing, we square both sides. Whoops. Okay, we get x equals 9 minus 2x. Bring the x's over. Bring the x's over. 3x equals 9. So, x will be equal to 3. So, is the square root of 3 equal to 9 minus 2 times 3? Well, that's 6, right? So the square root of 3 equals the square root of 3. That's my answer. Alright. Okay, next one. Okay. Now we're up to squaring both sides. Again. Now, that's going to give you negative 14 plus 9v equals v squared. Now, anytime you have a v squared and a v in the same problem, we're going to have to solve this thing using the quadratic formula or factoring. So I'm going to try factoring first. Since I like my when I do my factoring, I like to have v squared here being positive. Okay, I'm going to move these guys over. So I'm going to add 14 and I'm going to subtract 9v. I'm going to do both of those things. So I'm going to subtract 9v and I'm going to add 14. If you notice, I put them in a certain order because that way the factoring will be easy. Now over here is nothing because you got rid of everything. So I need factors of 14 that give us 9. Alright, and that's going, since this is positive, both these things have to be this, whoops. Both of these things have to be the same sign. And because I have a middle term being a negative 9, then I'm going to get 2 and 7. And, okay, now I've got this equation. So basically, I'm going to say v equals 2 and v equals 7. Okay, remember we set both of these factors equal to 0. And those are my two answers. Now I got to check to see if that works. So I'm going to take the square root. I'm going to put in negative 14 plus 9 times 2. I'm going to do 2 first. And is that the same thing as 2? Okay, so that's going to be the square root of negative 14 plus 18, which is 4. And that does equal 2, right? Square root of 4 does equal 2. So that's good. That tells you that 2 is definitely an answer. Now I'm going to try 7. See if I can squeeze 7 down in here. Alright, negative 14 plus 9 times 7. Does that give you 7? Alright, so negative 14 plus 63 is 49. And 49 does equal, square root of 49 does equal 7. Remember, when we can do this pairing thing, we're going to get 7 equals 7. Which checks as well. So both of these are correct answers. Alright, we've got this one. Again, we square both sides. Doop, doop. Okay, so I've got 210 minus p equals p squared. So again, same thing as I did before. I'm going to add p here and subtract 210. Like, do the opposites. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Add p and subtract 210. So that this comes out to be nothing. Okay. Now I need 2 factors of 210. That is only off by 1. Ooh, let's see. That's going to be... What is... It's got to be... Let's see. 14... Let me bring out my calculator here. 14... Oops. Clear. 14 times 15. What's that coming? Okay, 14 and 15. Alright, since the positives have to win, I'm going to make a positive, positive 15 and a minus 14. And then when you get done with that, p is going to be equal to negative 15 and positive 14. Okay, so I'm going to go test these. So 210 minus a negative 15. Does that give me negative 15? Now hopefully you'll stop right there, because as soon as you see that negative 15 is equal to a square root, that's no good. Okay, a square root can never be, the square root of a number can never be negative. We're always looking at the positives. So this is out. Again, this is called an extraneous. Because we've altered the equation by squaring both sides, sometimes we cause solutions to be extraneous, meaning you have extra solutions that don't make it true. So let's try 14. Alright, so we've got 210 minus 14. Does that give us 14? That's the question. So 210 minus 14 is a square root of 196. And if I type that in my calculator, let me bring my calculator in here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to take, do I have square root on here? Yeah, I do. The square root of 196. Oops, I guess I have to do it this way. And that's 14, which is what I'm supposed to get. Alright, so this is good. So this is a good one. Now be careful, because sometimes you get answers where you don't get any at all. Let's do another one. More difficult one. Okay, this last one, because we're up to about 11 minutes now. You're going to square both sides. Okay, this one's a tough one because you're gonna FOIL in a second. Okay, you're gonna square that, and you've got to square that. Now remember, this up here is equivalent to 2 of these, and you have to FOIL. You know, FOIL, or you can do it like this if you want. You know, the table method I showed you guys. So this would be r squared. This would be 3r. This would be 3r by multiplication. And this will be 9. So this will be r squared plus 9r plus 9, okay, equals 5r plus 51. Alright, combining like terms, again, bring these guys over to the other side, and I'll line them up so that this is 0. So now I have r squared plus 4r minus, let me make sure I get this right this time, 42. Okay, then I would factor that. Let's see, if I factor that, 2 factors that give me 42. 6 and 7's 42. 4. Let's see. Let's try 6 and 7 don't work. Let's check this out. Hold on a second. Okay, I've got to edit this. I just goofed up right here. This should be a 6. Okay, right here. That's what happens when I'm doing math on a Sunday, right? And so that would make this 1. Okay, so factors of negative 42, now they're only off by 1, which are the 6 and the 7. Okay, alright, gives us 0. So we got r equal to negative 7 and r equal to 6. Now if I go and I check these back in, you'll notice if I go up here, let me use my handy dandy pencil here. Alright, if you take this right here and plug it in right there, if you do that, you're going to come out with a negative number, which would not be true. So if you test this one, it'll work. Just for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that, but you will get a negative. Here you get negative 4, and you got it equal to a negative, which is not good. Alright, so that's it. That's, I think, well, let me show you the next one. I'm not going to do it, but I'll show you the first step. Okay, on this next one, what do you think you'd do? Right, you got to get rid, you have the square root, so you need to get rid of this 3. And so that step right there now begins like the last problem. I have this, then I would square both sides and FOIL it, and so on and so forth. If you want to try it yourself, the answers come out to be 3 and 7, and those both work. So, good luck.